Now I dare say there's both storms and podcasts coming.
Hello everyone, this is Liam once again talking to you on the drive home. It's a bit of an interesting drive at the moment. A bit of stormy weather. Kind of makes you think about it. You don't want to get caught in it. No one wants to get caught in the storm. That's kind of the message that we're going to put forward in this week's edition. Don't get caught in the storm. Why? The storm is dangerous, many things that can happen, it's unpredictable, and there's a very likely chance that it could affect you, it could harm you, obviously when you're driving, there are hazards, the conditions can change very quickly, and ultimately it just makes things a lot harder to see. The risk of you being harmed is a lot greater, and it's unnecessary that you should be caught up in it at all. That's why people always say, don't risk it. Stay out. If you're caught in a storm, get to shelter, get to a safe place. And in many ways, we get caught in a storm in different ways, in different facets of life. There are people that are caught in a storm of a situation in their own life where they may be in a relationship where the storm is brewing. There's stormy weather ahead. You don't want to get caught in a storm. Maybe you're in an abusive relationship where you need to seek shelter. That does happen from time to time. Occasionally, you'll be caught in the storm. You need to get out of there immediately for your safety, for your well-being. And because it's a smart thing to do. You don't want to get caught in that storm. It could be harmful, hazardous, it could even be deadly. In abusive situation cannot be limited only to a relationship. It could be someone you don't even know. Stay out of the storm. In other words, it looks like there's a storm on the horizon, there's a situation that you shouldn't be any part of. Stay out of it. There's someone who looks a little suspect over in a corner, over in an area. They look like they're up to something. Like maybe you've seen them sort of try to approach people, scouting people out. Maybe they're looking to take something from someone. A situation where they may very well be looking to rob someone. So what do? Do you go straight through that storm, or do you avoid it? Of course, you want to get away from that storm. You want to stay out of the storm, out of the hazardous condition. You don't want to be put in that spot where you have to now seek shelter, where you have to now get yourself out safely. Even if you make it out, that's no problem. Still, you get caught in the storm. Now you've got to get yourself out. You've got to get yourself out safely. You've got to take measures that you wouldn't have to in any ordinary situation. So, hence the term, in this case, to be applied to any situation. If there's a situation, the circumstance, where a person is going to be hazardous or harmful to you. You may know them, you may not know them. It may be someone who's trying to get involved with a certain group. The conditions are all set to brew a storm. Maybe there's someone who's getting involved in a certain activity or a certain recreation. Maybe, because we've all come across that one person that does get into the wrong crowd. We often associate that with the young people and the peer pressure, but it's adults as well. Maybe things didn't go right for them, so now they've gotten into a crowd and they're looking for a way to ease their suffering, and maybe they're doing drugs, maybe they're dealing drugs, maybe they're becoming abusive to their spouse or significant other. And they got a choice in that situation. Obviously you could drive through that storm, risk being caught up in that, or avoid the storm. But at the same time, you see something on the horizon, it's a good thing to warn others about that storm. It's a good thing if you caution others and say, hey, look, whether it be the authorities, whether it be friends or family, because oftentimes if you avoid the storm, that's good. But what about the person in that storm? What about the person who's about to drive through that storm? Is it not a good idea? Is it not for their benefit and to be the Good Samaritan to say that in a certain situation, you're driving through that storm, whatever that storm entails, you need to warn that person. Say, hey, it doesn't look like the conditions are very good here. It doesn't look like it's a good situation that you should be getting in. Or maybe they've told you about it. Maybe they're telling you about the storm that they're caught in. So now, how do you get them out of that storm? Maybe you've got the geographical information. I mean, we could be still talking about just general storm here or just rhetorically, but either way, you may have the information before you can see, the satellites giving you the information about where that storm is headed. All the warnings that are being given, all the other situations that you know about where you've seen a storm like that before and you know what can happen if you're caught up in it. And you can guide that person to safety. You can tell that person, where they can seek a proper shelter, where they can get to a safe place, where they can get out of that storm. And that's also an important thing. Not just to say, hey, well, I've got to get out of the storm, I've got to stay out of the storm. But if there's someone caught in that storm, help them out. Always help them. Maybe you'll get to the point where you've done all you can, you've said all you can, but at least to warn them. People are always going to make that choice. They drive through that storm and they'll think that they'll come out the other end fine. And maybe in that one instance, maybe in that situation, they'll be driving through that storm and they'll come out unscathed. But then that one time that they weren't warned, you could say you warned them, you could say you guided them, helped them every step of the way. You've done everything that you can. If they still choose to drive through that storm, sometimes there's not a lot you can do. And once in a while, once too many, the person who drove through the storm got caught in the hail, ended up veering off, losing control and crashing, maybe getting struck by the lightning, who knows? Depends if they're in a car or if they're out in the field. Whatever the situation is, it's always handy to give someone advice on how to get out of the storm. If they still drive through it, Sometimes you can't stop them. You could just hope that when the storm dies down, they're still okay. They're sitting happy. But anyway, speaking of storm and avoiding and getting out, not a severe storm that's kind of over me right now, but if I don't follow my own advice and try to get out of it, I'll be a little bit of a hypocrite. And so, I'm on my way home right now. It's a little wet on the roads. It's a little slippery. May cause a little bit of a hazard. There's a congestion of traffic. It's been a little wet and now it's sort of dried up. Makes for some dangerous conditions, and oftentimes we're told, just take your time. If it's going to be an issue, take your time. Get home safe. Get to where you need to go, but take your time. It's an interesting thing to look at, because there are many times where you do need to take your time. Take your time to get from one place to another safely, but you also take your time to get something done correctly. In our society, especially with all these deadlines of perfection, have people wanting things done quicker, cheaper, faster, and still want to keep high quality, still want everything to be absolutely perfect. So instead of allowing you to take your time to get something right, to do something the correct way, to do something properly, something safely, instead someone else will be taking your time and saying, instead of taking your time, to get it done now, to get there quickly, to go and finish it now. Don't wait, don't want to wait, don't want to, because they're impatient, or perhaps they just don't value the concept of the time that we have, the time that we give, and the fact that it is our time. And instead, you're giving up your time. They're taking time from you. What are you getting in return? See, if you, in other words, if you do a certain task, or you're expected to be a certain place, and your time isn't being considered, they want you here now, they want you here, they want you to do something, and it's got to be done right now. But it's not really possible, because you're not in a position, or you're not in a place. Let's say something's going to take, let's say you're at a destination that's a fair way away from someone else. It'll take you at least an hour to get from where you are to wherever that person is. Maybe that person wants you to give them a lift, and they won't allow you to take your time. It's like, no, you've got to come get me now, you've got to get me now. You've got to get me, you've got to, 30 minutes. Or there's something that needs to be delivered. It's got to be 30 minutes. The pizza delivery driver, best example you could look at. You've got to get there, you've got to get there now, you've got to do it now. But the process that goes through in that instance, you've got the person that made the order. They want it immediately. You got the person that took the order from the call center. They got to process it immediately. And then they got to give it to the store manager, who gets it on the printout, who instructs the shift supervisor, or whoever's on kitchen duty. Here's your next ticket. And then the people on the kitchen, they have to get that. They've got to get it made, and then they've got to put it through the oven, and then the final process, get it to the driver, get it out to that person. It's not always going to happen when you want it to. But see, if you take time from someone else, you've got to give something back. You've got to give something back to them in return. Like, if you expect someone to do something quicker, you've got to at least assist them in doing so. You've got to help them out. You can't just expect someone to take, to just give you their time, and all they're getting in return is just, all the negativity. They will get blamed for whenever something goes wrong. They will get harassed by the person who was supposed to get the task done. And regardless of who, regardless of when, regardless of what, your time's now been taken. And in return for what you've sacrificed, for what you've given, what have you got in return? See, it's your time. And if you give your time, someone takes your time, but doesn't allow you to take your time. Now, what I mean also by that, if you're going to take too much time to do something, let's say that person that wants that meal now, he takes his time, he waits till he's starving, now he wants it now, he wants a pizza now. It's like, well, it's going to take a while because we got a few orders. If you don't allow them to take their time, then that negativity spreads through. But at the same time, that person at the call center, if they take their time in processing the order, now it's going to take time. Do you see? It's going to take time. It's going to take more time. Instead of giving time, instead of making time go faster, getting a task done quicker, it's going to take more time. It's going to take more time to put that pizza through, get the ingredients on properly, and maybe because it's got to get done properly, it's got to be done quickly now. It's probably going to have the wrong ingredients because someone rushed it, or maybe it's missing ingredients, or maybe there's not enough, maybe someone didn't put it down properly. Now it's got to go through the oven. Maybe someone set the oven to go through faster so I can process, so maybe it's not cooked properly. And then you get it to the driver, and now that driver's got to get it there in 10 minutes, and it's maybe 15-20 minute trip away. They can't do it without speeding, without risking their safety, without them giving up something unnecessary, their safety, their well-being, even, the integrity of their license. If there's a speeding fine because they had to hurry through because someone couldn't wait, and the unexpected demand that should never have been placed on that person to begin with, now that person's time and more has been taken from them. And at the end, the person who wanted what they received is not what they asked for, maybe undercooked, just poor quality. The pizza ain't up to standard. So hopefully I've kind of got the point across while I'm driving on the way home. But like I say, if you take your time to do something right, and even if something's gonna, maybe it's gonna take a little longer than expected, but that's okay. But as long as you don't take as much time as you can from others and yourself, you take time that you need to take. You don't take all the time. You don't take all the time in the world. You don't take the time and patience from other people. You understand? You take your time. You do what you need to do to get something done correctly. And in exchange, what you'll get in return, what you'll be given, gratitude for a job well done, for whatever the task was. Hell, you could have even saved someone's neck by doing something for them the right way, because it's done correctly. Maybe it's something that they've tried to fix a million times, and maybe they were just rushing through it, they were missing something. You come in, you take a little bit of time to get it right. It could be the difference between turning on and off, or an electrical fire in a house. Things like that. A car running correctly, as opposed to getting 3 cars out and maybe 1 or 2 of them come back because they still have an issue, because now it's going to take even more time and it's unnecessary. Well, I'm pretty sure the point has been made. The roads are slippery here. The most important thing to do is take your time in certain weather conditions. There's no need to rush, and it also comes down to time management as well. That's another topic, I guess, and that's obviously where some people would probably say, well, I got some advice, is take my time. It's like, well, there's still such a thing as time management, and that's another topic for another time, but just a little snippet for those who want to try and spin this into their own selfish purpose. Taking your time doesn't mean you get there safely, but it doesn't mean that if you were supposed to leave at a certain time, or maybe if you need to leave a little earlier to make sure you get there, that you just take your time getting ready and you take your time doing something like, I don't know, that maybe there was something you needed to do before you went washing, or, putting something away, whatever it is. It's really, it's all relative. I didn't take my time going through that yellow light there. But, time management. That's what was discussed at the end of the video, tie-in subject to taking your time. If you listened to last time, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe pause this video, have a listen to the previous one, and then get back to this one. And if you're just tuning in back now, if you just listened to the previous one, let's get into some time management. I'm going to say I didn't take my time getting into my car and back to the destination, but a certain factor of time management certainly comes into play, especially in my life, because I'm going from one destination to the other quite frequently, doing many tasks, got many things to do. Right now, going from one place to the next, I got to be there in probably about 10-15 minutes. And it's a perfect time to also talk about time management, because managing time is a difficult thing to do, because there are a lot of things that can come into play and factor in. No matter how much you may plan ahead, there's always one thing that can throw off the whole balance of time and how you've managed it. Typically, you know how long it's going to take you to get from destination A to destination B. It's probably only going to take you 30 minutes. But then, of course, if there's a slow driver in front of you, it's going to take a little longer, or perhaps a lot longer, because maybe you'll catch every single traffic light. We all know what the hell that's like. Yeah, that's right. You know you, the slow drivers. Slam on the brakes at every yellow light, and just them taking their time getting from one place to the next and hanging in the fast lane instead of merging over and letting people who need to go past at the maximum speed to do so. But nevertheless, if you manage your time well, you can account for all these obstacles and more. So let's say that there's a traffic jam, you know that it congests at a certain time. Of course, you've got to manage your time in order to account for that. So that means leaving earlier. And when you leave early, obviously means sometimes you've got to wake up earlier, which means, you manage your time, maybe quicker shower, prepare your clothes for the next morning, the night before. Instead of watching TV, record it. We're in the technological age where you can record and watch things at a later time. There's, so many things that you can do. Prepare a meal for you that's going to take a few seconds instead of, you might not have time to whip up that gourmet bacon and eggs in the morning. You may have to stick with toast or cereal. But if that means that it better manages your time and gets you to where you need to go at the time you need to get there, especially if you gotta get to work on time. Everyone has to get to work on time. Everyone stresses about getting to work on time. Wish it was the same for the people that, just a little bit of a sidetrack here. Wish it was always a two-way thing where, other people, and maybe this is these people, yes. I'm gonna be that guy to separate the classes and say the people who take their time when they shouldn't and then end up late to a destination and you got someone waiting around for you for longer than they needed to be. You need to listen to this right now. Time management. If you got to get to a destination at a certain time and you know it's going to take time, it's going to take your time to get there, then get there, leave now. Do what you got to do to alleviate any obstacles in the way. Leave earlier. If it's going to take longer, don't speed. People drive in excess of speed. And there are places and parts where, we all do kind of go a little faster, but on the main roads and in congested traffic, definitely don't want to put yourself at risk. And so would every government official who happens to don the cap and the badge and that utility belt with all those things on it, including the gun and the taser and the pepper spray and all that. You don't want to deal with those people, because then it's not good time management, because they're going to pull you over and they're going to take their time. You know why? Because they're doing their job and they feel that putting you off the road is making it safer for everyone else, and whether they're right or wrong in that situation, it's still nevertheless taking time from you, and it's gonna make you later. So it's real easy, it's real simple, the solutions are all there. We all know what they are, and it's sacrifices that you need to make. And oftentimes there will be a circumstance where even if you manage your time perfectly, there's going to be that one time where, unfortunately, an unforeseen circumstance, be it a traffic jam, an accident, or something goes horribly wrong, and you've got to take your time to help someone else. You've got to take time out of your day to help someone else. Maybe you've got to perform first aid. Maybe, maybe it's just another complete emergency where it takes you out of your way, and you know what? People understand. People will understand that, especially if, think of it this way, if you're constantly late, it's the boy who cried wolf, used in so many situations. And in this case, it's the person who cried, "I'm late." You come into work late once, really sorry, the traffic's bad. Oh, okay, yep, I didn't really notice. Or maybe the person did notice, yep, look, I'll let you in this time, but you're going to have to make sure that, you're not late again. Now, this is something that was doing martial arts instruction. This happened quite a bit as well, and also personal training. A person's coming late. You're late one time, it's like, yeah, okay, look, fair enough. Just try not to make it a habit. And they're late again the next week. The same excuse. And eventually, there are certain people who use the excuse so many times, and it just got, just the same sob story. It's like, you know what, you got to, the person who's in charge, who's the manager, who's the boss, who's the instructor, whoever, has to put their foot down and say, look, you know what, I got to take measures, and I've got to do what I need to do to manage my time, because if there's people coming in late, especially if you're running a class or, a certain destination, the bus driver has to leave by a certain time. They can't wait around. And if they've already shut the door and they're about to drive off, maybe the first time they can let you on. But maybe if you're just constantly late, or people are constantly late and they're taking advantage, then eventually something's got to give. And unfortunately, it has to be you. You've got to give, you've got to give them the benefit of the doubt in this situation. Assume that not everything's about you. There are other people on that bus. There are other people in that class. They need to also stick to their time schedule, otherwise they're not managing their time. And it's not fair to the people who also manage their time. And oftentimes it means that they have to make the ultimate sacrifice and say, look, you're late constantly, you're causing disruptions, we can't have you in this class if you're late, and if you're in a job and it's like, look, we need you here at a certain time, you've been late constantly, you're unreliable, we got to let you go. And that's the worst thing to ever happen. But all those things you could have done to manage your time better. If it's one time thing and they just straight up say you're late, that's it, you're done, or you do that one more time, then maybe maybe you're just not in the right place, or maybe they just need to understand that certain circumstances do happen. If they're not going to understand that, then maybe find somewhere better, find a better place to work, find a better place to be. That's, if these things do happen, sometimes you will be late. People have to understand that as well. But if you're constantly late, and here's something as well, people who are late that offer no apology whatsoever, especially if you're late everywhere, and it gets to the point where you offer absolutely no apology at all, expect no one to give any concession whatsoever, especially if you don't even offer an apology for being late. Because inconsideration certainly won't make up for you being late. Definitely will reinforce that person's opinion that maybe they needed to take a certain measure, or exclude you from an activity, or just basically fire you from a workplace. Because if you don't even care about other people, and you don't care about the time, because we don't know how much time we have, you don't care about other people's time or patience for that, then you certainly can't expect it in return. Well, I've managed my time pretty well. Although the person in front of me hasn't, is driving 10k's under the speed limit in the fast lane. That's another thing as well. If you're driving slow, and I guess I'll have to have another topic for that, but driving slow is not good time management. I'm caught behind a bunch of slow drivers, and it's something we always think about. Why can't that person move along faster? Why can't that person at least have enough consideration to move over to the slow lane to allow faster traffic to pass by? And it's really a valid question to ask, and it comes down to, I guess, the personality of a person, also the drive of a person, not just the person, not just the vehicle, but the person as well. What is exactly stopping them from going as fast as they're able to go? I mean, once again, not saying, speed or, disobey authority and, up the police and whatever. But if you are driving slow in the right lane, and I know that there have been people that have discussed this matter as well, and perhaps I'd even get them on the podcast to even elaborate on this topic as well. But I do know a couple of people who have they've tapped into this topic of discussion as well, and I guess each of us have a broader perspective, and I guess I have to narrow it down as I got a little bit less time than they do. And well, it's simple. You effectively restrict someone from getting to where they need to go. You're holding someone back. And for what benefit? What goes through the mind of someone who intentionally wants to hold someone back? who wants someone to stay behind them, doesn't want them to get past, doesn't want them to move forward past them. You know, it's okay, I guess, if you are going a certain speed through, you know, and that's as fast as you'll ever go, that's as far as you want to go. I mean, but if there's someone that needs to get past, who wants to go forward, then why do you stop them? And I guess this is also a topic that's been relevant to me many times in life. I could go back to high school, I could go back before high school, primary school, outside of, you know, recreational sporting, and just anything, you know, competitions, and people just intentionally, I mean, they may be naturally gifted at something, and I'm not. Let's put it this way. I was not naturally gifted at anything, and the struggles that I had throughout my life meant that I had to push harder, just straight off the bat, and that meant that I had to work harder to get to the status quo, to get to the average. And it's like, there are people who are better than you. They're all better than you, every single one of them. And then eventually, you start to get better. Whatever it is. You could say it's at a particular job, or even in a competition, you know, a race. You're starting to creep up on the times. You're starting to get better at that throw. You're starting to catch up to those people. So there are times where instead of embracing that and thinking, wow, this guy's, you know, doing good, I better make sure that, you know, if I want to stay in the position I'm in, that I push harder myself, that we push each other, we just give it our all and continue, and then that way we'll all be better. Good thing I got a fast car right now. I get past all these people that are driving slow. Yay! I'm not in my little I'm not in my little rat rudder. I'm in the sports car. So if you hear a little thrumming and rumming, and yeah, it's a different ball game right here. And just give me 3 seconds to get past these couple of cars right here. And what were we talking about? Oh yes, people holding you back. See, in this situation, even passing by cars who aren't going the speed limit, there's someone who could intentionally and deliberately block you from where you're going. What a coincidence that I got just the right analogy for the right time, right? That's why, you know, you're about to pass someone, but they try to block you off. They try everything so that you can't pass them. They try to make it harder for you to progress forward. And why do people do that? Because they want to stay in the position that they're in. They don't want to progress forward. They want to stay where they are. They don't want to move any, you know, further forward. They don't want to go back. They don't want to be behind you. I mean, you were all the way back there. Now you've caught up. Now you're going to pass them. How dare you? And so many times in my life where, because I was admittedly the worst of the bunch, and I got better and better and better, and it was never embraced by the people that were in the top spots. But I continued to get better, and I got better. And the funny thing is that once I was better than them, there were one or two things that they did. They either gave up completely, and that was more often what happened. If they were not level with me anymore and I was passing them by and they could no longer keep up, they gave up. And the other thing they did was try to sabotage, try to pull back, try to do the wrong thing. So I guess the message ultimately is, if there's someone who is trying legitimately to go past, they're doing all the right things and they're They're not trying to cheat. They're not trying to screw you out of anything. They're not trying to make things harder for you. They're just trying to get by. They're just trying to go past. They're just trying to get to where they need to go. And if they're doing what it takes, they're doing more than what you're doing to get there faster, to get there, in less time. Why hold them back? So to the people who are in that right lane, whether I'm talking about on the roads or in any other given situation where it may very well apply, just move out the way to the left lane. If you can't keep the pace, and I'm not saying just hit the brakes completely and give up. I'm not saying swerve into them and put your foot on the accelerator and cut them off, or in any situation cutting someone off and cutting them off and getting people to try and sabotage and come up against you and everything. It's about progress. It's about moving forwards. And if that person's going to go past you, so be it. The only thing you can do in that situation is be better. Do better. Do the right thing. But don't hold anyone back intentionally just so you can have the comfort of being in front of them. That's an important thing to learn in life, because otherwise they're still going to, the better of us, we're still going to pass you. We're still going to find a way to get in front, and we will win. We will succeed. We will be the people that get in front of you. And no matter what you do, the best of us will never give up. We'll never stop. We'll never slow down. We're not going to look back. But then, to the people who feel that, someone's passed you, it's useless now. They just hit the brakes, they just veer off the road, and they think, well, that's it. That's the end of the journey for me, I give up. Don't. Because there's something to be said about two people or more that are all going the correct speeds in the right lane. If you veer off the road now, you're going nowhere and they're going somewhere. That doesn't help you, and that doesn't help other people as well. See, what I mean is, everyone gets to their destination. You're all going there, you're all doing the right thing, you're all maintaining consistent speed. Someone passes you, okay, they pass you, but keep going. In any situation where it applies to you, keep going. Don't take your foot off the accelerator. Don't hit the brakes. But if there's someone going to get past you in life, it's going to happen. Whether it's on the roads or off the roads, it's going to happen. There's not much you can do except just to keep going along. Everyone getting to their destination is better than just one person getting there and nobody else. Because what is that about progress? Now you've given up on everything that you were striving to achieve. You've now given up on reaching your destination. Now you've just given up. And that person, they're not giving up. They get to where they need to go. They do what they need to do. And someone's going to pass them. The same thing has happened to that person many times. In fact, that person has had to see all his or her life people passing by and leaving them behind. And they've been stuck in the left lane. They've been watching everyone just drive by, leave them behind. But you know what? They never stopped. They never gave up. That's a lesson. But seriously though, if we get real here for a minute about the left lane and the right lane, or wherever you are, I mean, depending on in the world, if you drive on the other side of the road and whatnot. Please, for crying out loud, if you're in the fast lane and you are not intending to pass traffic or even do the speed limit, get out of the way. Don't hold anyone back, and don't be a stubborn asshole and just stick it out there and pretend like there's no one behind you, because you're going to cause congestion, you're going to cause issues, you're going to cause an accident possibly. Someone's going to have to take an alternate maneuver just to get around you, and that may cause them to cut someone off, and now that person's driving angry, and they're, it just doesn't do any good for anyone. So I guess as a little bit of a philosophical and rhetorical message in this, and there's a direct message to all the slow drivers in the right lane: get out of the freaking way! If you drive on the left side of the road, drive on the right side of the road. If it's a right lane or a left lane, or if I'm just talking right lane is incorrect lane, please, come on! It's not going to kill you. If anything, because you're driving safer, you're now letting people past you, it's going to be safer for you, because less traffic congestion means there are less cars on the road, which means that there's less of a danger and less chance of an accident. These are statistics that you can prove and you can sit on and read all day. But anyway, I've now officially gone off the philosophical and gone to a direct, and, well, I guess, definitely like this one. I know people are going to like this one. If you don't like it, you still don't like, dislike, whatever, it's fine. Subscribe so you get more videos, audio video, or anything else that's on the channel. Share with someone who maybe is a slow driver in the right lane, but driving in the incorrect lane. Maybe they need a little bit of a kick up the butt. Maybe they need a horn to say, hey, you need to move a little faster. You need to stop holding people back. You need to get out of the way and let people pass you, or put your foot down and go, so that you don't get left behind, you don't hold anyone back. This has been another drive that has been worth listening, I'm sure you'll all agree.
But in the meantime,
My name is Lynn.